Welcome to my in-depth game review of Half-Life Alyx. Let's go ahead and get started with the graphics. Now, you start out overlooking the City 17, which is the city you live in, and it is overrun by the Combine, and right away you can already tell that the graphics are just a gorgeous masterpiece. You can see the reflection of the sun off the railings, you can see all the different types of metals and all the wear and tear. You can also tell that they put a lot of work into programming the looks, because you can even draw with markers and erase the marker that you draw on the windows with. And unfortunately, you can't really draw on like any surface. It's mainly just the windows, but I mean it's good enough. You don't use the markers really. It's just for looks, and you can really tell that they have an extreme attention to detail, like for the stuff with your hands, because you can see all the circuits and all of the information on the little screens on your hands, like how much health you have and all the ammo. And there's even sections of the game that require you to use a flashlight, and you can see all the reflections of the metals, and whenever there's explosions you can see the flashes of light and really well done shadows too. So when you like change position, you can always see that the shadows change a little bit too. It's always a really nice touch when they put all this stuff in. The lighting also sets a really good atmosphere, which can give you chills almost as you go through the darker sections, and gives you a little bit of reassurance when you get to the lighter sections, realizing that there's like light at the end of the tunnel. So that's why I would give the graphics part a 10 out of 10. So now let's move on to the sound. And the sound is one of the second most is I think the second most important part when it comes to the video game, because that sets the entire mood. Because if it was a very creepy part and if there was like upbeat music, it would totally set off the game and just sound weird. So the sound here is always very eerie and almost dark. So they did a really good job, and they even fully programmed a piano, which I'm going to demonstrate here. But just as a heads up, I don't actually know any good songs to play on the piano, so I just played random notes. So I apologize if it actually sounds bad.
Hey Russ, name a song.
Flight of the Bumblebee.
Coming right up.
That's it.
Up next, we have the mobs, and there are actually a great amount of them in this game. We have the Combine soldiers, and then we have the head crabs and all the different kinds they have, and then we also have these very disgusting looking creatures that are called barnacles. Now, there's I didn't actually name all of them, because there's actually some other dudes that look like overgrown ants, and there's also a boss named Jeff, which also gave me the biggest heart attack, which I am going to show you now. As you can see, with the correct lighting and sounds, it can make what seems like an easy boss be an actually terrifying boss to experience. And he doesn't really work if it was a console game, which is why they made it really a VR game, because it just makes the creepiness level all the way up to like an 11 instead of a normal horror game and normal survival game. Apart from Jeff, because he's actually invincible, the rest of these mobs are actually somewhat challenging to kill, because you have the head crabs that move around a lot, and then you have the Combine soldiers that tend to shoot back at you if you try to shoot them. And it actually makes it more of an entertaining game, and there's not really a large amount of dull moments in the game. With all of the high thrill and all of the challenges that all the mobs get, I will rate this game a 10 out of 10 for on the mob side, because it is really well done and I don't really see any errors with them. Next, we get on to the puzzles, and this is one of the only problems that I have with this game, because the only real problem there is they don't really give you a large tutorial on how to actually do it. So the first time I found myself getting frustrated at all the new puzzles and having to eventually go on to the internet just to look at walkthroughs on how to actually complete them. But if you take your time and actually try to pay as much attention as possible, you'll eventually figure out how to do them. And after my second time, I thought they were kind of a fun thing to do. And they do actually get pretty challenging, and you have to like look around to look for the switches and stuff to actually complete it. So I'll give this a like 8 out of 10. Next is the final thoughts and the controls. The controls are pretty simple. The only thing I really had a problem with was trying to get the gravity gloves to work, but they have a short little tutorial in the beginning on how to use them and grab things. So what you do is you flick your wrist after aiming at an object and trying to grab it, and then you have to catch it while it's flying towards you at a high rate of speed. It gets pretty tricky, but there's a pretty high margin of error, so it's actually not too hard to really learn how to do. It only took me about 5 tries, and then I was able to master it. And my other thoughts for this game is, well, about this story, I can't really tell you guys too much about it because a lot of it is spoilers. So, what it really is that you're looking for your dad because he gets kidnapped by the Combine, and then for the other half of the game, you're trying to break in to the quarantine zone and steal a super weapon from the vault. This game is not actually an online game, it is solely a single player game and only has the story mode for it. And currently, there are no actual official mods, but you can download a lot of mods and other stuff from the Steam Workshop. It is not official DLC, it is just other stuff that random people have decided to create, which could either improve or make the game worse. So, now we are on to the final verdict. What I think this game is that I think it deserves a 48 out of 50 rating, mainly because it is one of the best games I've played so far. With the great story, sound effects, and visuals, it's easily one of the best games I've played recently. And my last advice to you is to make sure to take your time in the game and really absorb all the information and appreciate the story because they tried really hard on this game and it's taken years for them to develop. And it's definitely worth the money because it took me over like 10 hours just to finish my first playthrough of the game on easy difficulty. And when I was trying to rush through it, I could get it done in 4, but that was me really trying and actually doing it all in one sitting. So there you guys have it, and I hope you liked this review. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.